Hello, hello, welcome back for episode 3. I took a brief moment to prepare for this episode, and I stood up and did some things around the house, and when I came back, Bach here was still complaining, still bemoaning his fate. I thought that perhaps after us initially walking up he would stop, but no, he's still moaning. He's still a groaning. I find it interesting that he has a torch here. He's a very smart fellow in terms of what you might expect of a primate or a rat monster. Wearing clothes, has a torch, capable of pain, a little cowardly, but it seems he was very set that his desire to please us and to grant us an additional reward outweighed his cowardice for a time.
Oh, what are you doing here? You must leave this place at once. They'll rush in and beat you to a pulp. You'll end up just like me.
Alright, he's worried that if we go in that they'll rush me and that they'll pound me to a pulp.
What are you doing here?
He doesn't have much more to say. But now we have an opportunity to use our one and only other spell, Starlight. One of my favorites. Very simple. Actually, yeah, look, there's a sigil that appears when we cast it. We'll pay attention to what other spells share that sigil. Does Shatter Earth have a sigil? It does! By the looks of it, it's the same one. It's hard to see. But, if I cast it enough. It looks like either side of the sigil are two birds. They're kind of looking inward. You get to see a single wing. Can't really make out much else in these brief flashes. But, something to take note of. Maybe we'll be able to find a still of that sigil and show it off at some point. But here we are. We have our light spell. We're going to try out the broadsword a little bit. Now that we found a couple weapons off of enemies, we're going to show off what they are capable of. Our character isn't a swordsman by trade, but he might decide for such beasts that perhaps a broadsword might be a little better than his war pick if there's chance that multiple enemies could rush him and overwhelm him. So it seems that they're here just chilling in the dark. They're also kind of a rat monkey looking thing. More monkey than rat. Makes me wonder if they're a similar species to Bach. They have those opposable thumbs on their feet. Opposable toes, I suppose. Terribly aggressive, but I imagine that if you hopped off the cliff above in the dark, they could have surrounded you very easily. Found some cave moss and a prism stone, or a rainbow stone. Prism stone was the old term for it from the other games. Rune fragment that has undergone some simple processing. Stones such as these shine with the colors of the rainbow, making them useful markers when placed on the ground. Can also be dropped to gauge the distance of a fall. The higher the pitch of the sound, the higher the likelihood of the fall being fatal. Once used to entertain children on the fringes of the lands between. Alright, entertaining children, I get it. What was the other item? Cave moss. Faintly luminescent moss, grows in dark caves. A fundamental ingredient for medicinal boluses. Riveting. And we find a land octopus ovary and our very first gold summoning sign. We can summon Old Knight Istvan. Yeah, Old Knight Istvan. Summon him. We see that he's holding a dismounter like the Kaiden riders do. I believe I grabbed one for the purposes of looking at it. Oh, there it is. I'm simply blind. This curved greatsword wielded by the brawny sellswords of Kaiden combines the blade of a scimitar with the heft of a hatchet. A difficult-to-handle weapon that demands much of the wielder's strength and dexterity, but with practice and ability, it can serve as a versatile weapon even on horseback, and given its length, I believe it. And he's here, without explanation, willing to help us. Perhaps this is a very thick den of these monsters. Start light spell again. And yeah, well, let's stick with the broadsword for now. Connect at all. That looks really weird. This man seems he's got good armor and a lot of health. More trailing from the side hallway. Right in the eye. Find some tailoring tools and the sewing needle. Oh. Oh, they lose morale. They don't have their leader about. Interesting. Let's take a look at those tools. A large sewing needle, curved like a fang, walk the demi-human's prized possession. A little bit ornate, which seems silly for something so small. You can see a little engravings there under the eye of the needle. And then a portable set of tailoring tools. Enables armor alterations at sites of grace. We can do a little bit of fashion. Alright. Switch back to the comfort of our war pick for now. Butterfly. And a shard of glass. If I remember, that is quite useless. In fact, it's not even in the craftables. Glass shard covered in dirt. Because it sparkles in light, it might be mistaken for an object of value when seen from afar. It cannot produce light by itself, essentially worthless. We come out, and it's nighttime. We get a nice view of the Erd Tree. It seems we've crossed the channel. Yeah. The underground cave led all the way to this island. See something golden over there. Something golden over there. Okay. So it seems that there's the Erd Tree. There's these smaller golden trees. Seem a little less illusory, though. Alright. Well, we can rest at the site of grace. We found ourselves another chapel. This one's kind of like the Church of Ella. The bricks are kind of nice. Not as nice as the gate front, but better than the... Yeah, I was talking about the gate front here had nice stonework, but the gate front ruins had much worse stonework. Seems to be the middle ground. Here. Church of Dragon Communion. First thing we see is a bunch of statues, vaguely dragon-esque. Even a little altar here. Ritual Dragon Communion. So if we have a dragon heart, it seems we can gain incantations. And we could probably read them too, even before we have them. One of the incantations of Dragon Communion transforms the caster into a dragon to spew flaming breath. Charging extends duration. Incantations of those who have hunted dragons and feasted upon their hearts. Theirs is a pure and overwhelming power. Transforms caster and dragon to tear through foes with dragon claws. Allows one follow-up attack. Transforms caster into a dragon to bite enemies. Okay. So all sorts of transformation types of spells, but they require dragon heart. And there's all these little statues. There's this large statue. Except for upon closer inspection, our light goes out. That seems very much like a regular old reptile eye, not something in the stonework. In fact, it's got a tongue. It's got those jaw muscles. Teeth that seem to be made out of a slightly different material than its flesh. It's got this crest. Almost like it crashed here. Or maybe those who partake in Dragon Communion slew this creature. And the place was aptly named after the fact. Perhaps it was a church for something else before. Doesn't seem to have wings. Maybe it's not a dragon. But what seems interesting... Now, we can't see what kind of hands or feet it has. Spikes along the ridge of its spine. Who knows? We may have to come back here after we have secured for ourselves a dragon heart. Look at these passive jellyfish here. They're not mean. They're not here to hurt anybody. Graped dragonfly head. Gross. Head of a large dragonfly. Long believed they had the ability to neutralize poisons. Okay. Very helpful. In fact, yep, it's an ingredient in those neutralizing boluses we learned how to make from that merchant on the seashore. We have one of these beetles. A somber smithing stone. Let's see. Stone used to smith a variety of armaments. A shard found in plenty. Smithing stone is found throughout the lands between, and mining galleries built to excavate it can be found everywhere. Shard of a smithing stone drained of color. Special armaments with unique characteristics cannot be strengthened with colored smithing stones. Number of steps and amount strengthened differ from standard equipment. So strengthens armaments up to +3, up to +1. No, here's an item. A body on the coast. A level 2 smithing stone. Our first. Okay. I think we're good to take off from here. But now... Okay, there are some caves north of the Church of Ella, where we might get a little more lore imparted unto us. And up here, we see a statue. A statue of a fellow with a crown. Looks quite emaciated, almost corpse-like. Has a little dish in his hands. Maybe it's a representation of a flame. Wearing rather nice clothes, covered in roots. Oh, scared a bird. And if we examine it, guide and gatekeeper for those returning to the roots, huh? Well, he's covered in roots. He points us in a direction. Trina's lily. This one's bound to have something interesting about it. A light purple water lily that is on the verge of wilting. Material used for crafting items. A symbol of faith in Saint Trina. Dulls the senses, preventing agitation. So another name. all these puzzle pieces and almost nothing to connect them to each other just yet. Let's find a couple more mushrooms. Here's the cave I was pointing to lead us back to the roots. Very good, very good. Alright, and the stonework seems a bit haphazard. Like, they didn't care if the wall was totally flush. Like, just get it in there and make sure it doesn't crumble. We have a ghostly visage. Interesting, he seems to be wearing... A proper death means returning to the Erd Tree. Have patience until the time comes, and the roots call to you. Okay. Wearing a headband. Thin-looking fellow. And it almost looks like a cassette tape is hanging from his chest there. Kind of looks like an icon of a tree with 2 holes drilled in the board. Kinda. Hard to tell. I'm sure we'll see more of that later. Here we have an enemy. I thought it was around the corner more. Really? Nothing? Rolled far too soon. Alright, we're gonna go for it. Worked out okay. Could have been better. Root resin. I remember this one also is interesting. Resin secreted from the roots of the great tree. First time seeing that particular term, specifically. The roots of the great tree were once linked to those of the Erd Tree, or so they say, and it is for this reason catacombs are built around great tree roots. Okay, so the roots we're returning to are those of the great tree. And somehow it's linked to the Erd Tree. Alright, we have our first grave glovewort. A white flower that blooms in catacombs. Each a soundless bell used to summon spirits. Okay, so we've already gotten a bell for summoning spirits. We have a whistle for summoning spirits. And now we have a plant that grows in a bell shape that's associated with spirits. The art of strengthening ashes is known as spirit tuning. Only a spirit tuner may perform this deed. Statues of these skeletal men wielding these croziers. I don't recognize any symbols right off the bat with it. If you happen to know what that this staff or crozier is patterned after or shaped like, please leave a comment down below. We see in this grand doorway, it's locked by some contraption. See, it looks like a tree, but a bit different. Something's a little off here. We see some figures down below at its base. There's some golden marks here in clusters, almost bubbling. And at the top, it looks like there's more figures. Just vague body shapes. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's very worn with time. It seems interesting that there's people below and people above. Perhaps this will be explained in time. We have ourselves some more imps. We have a grave violet that needs looking at. All these poor little imps to death. Alright. So we found a grave violet. Purple flower that blooms in graveyards. Material used for crafting items. The hue of ghost flame. It's believed to be useful in calling forth spirits. Okay, so not really sound-based, but ghost flame. Unique concept there. And we see these imps holding these forked hatchets. Peculiar hatchet wielded by imps. The gently undulating forked blade is known as an imp's tongue and causes blood loss. So it makes me wonder what these imps' purpose is. Why do they have forked hatchets? Why are they here? They seem to be made of some sort of stone. Are they here to guard the roots that we're working our way towards? Here we have a flame. A mean old flame. We took the time to acquire a short bow last time. I don't have any arrows equipped. And shooting the pillar in the distance that shoots flame at us lowers it. Oh, still medium. I guess we can arm bar for now. Here's another one. Actually, we have an imp. Did I hit it? Maybe it's too far. Maybe we need to angle it more. What a fool. Easy kill. Prattling pate, hello. Twisted clay sculpt in the shape of a human head emits a voice that says hello. A wistful fetish that imparts voices and words on an eternal journey. Very soft voice, not very loud. Deep though. Another imp. Perhaps not for us to see. That worked out very well. It's kind of what these games reward, is any mechanism by which you can get the kill, you go for it. Oh, there's another one. The game will be ruthless to you, and so you are ruthless back. Oh, he's not even upset. Any others on the walls? Doesn't seem like it. Smoldering butterfly, 3 of them, and another ghost glovewort. Seems to be an upgrade material unique to these catacombs. Seems to be a lot of end lag on that spell. Cowardly creatures. I knew it. There was a trap. I can't wait till we can upgrade our first weapon. That's gonna be nice. I kind of want to stick with the war pick for the feel and the look it has on the character, but maybe it'll be a sidearm we upgrade later, like a little more reliable of a weapon. I don't know. I'll decide when the time comes. another smithing stone. There's the dip from before. And that's our last one of those bone darts. And it looks like pulling that lever opened the doors to the dungeon. But we're a little low on items. Mana. So we're gonna rest, dart around the corner, and take care of the boss. Alright. We see a golden wall of fog. Bring our wolves into this fight to help out. Ooh! Very mechanical. Let him get it out of his system. There we go. Earthtree Burial Watchdog. Looks like a bunch of cat heads. Noble Sorcerer Ashes. So we found the Wandering Noble and the Noble Sorcerer. The spirits of nobles who, after death, now wander the lands between. Surely they were in search of something once, but whatever it was has long been forgotten. And spirit of a nobleman who once asked to be given a place at Raya Lucaria to learn glintstone sorceries. Okay, so if we are a foreman from a glintstone mine, a very basic grasp of glintstone sorceries, we will want to find Raya Lucaria if it is in the lands between. His talents were insufficient to be worthy of donning the stone crown, however, and His talents were insufficient to be worthy of donning the stone crown, however, and he is only capable of using the most rudimentary sorcery. That's me adding words unnecessarily. This is very interesting. The roots are full of bodies. Kind of like the door was depicting these clumped masses. Bodies at the roots, and bodies at the branches above, perhaps. We didn't see a tree on the cliff, not so close. We saw a tree very far away, the Erd tree. We saw two other smaller golden-leafed trees that were massive. This is a huge network of roots, though. Looks like they're being absorbed. At least some of them have been more absorbed than others. Doesn't paint a pleasant picture, but the ghost told us that at one point in time, probably in the future, we would return to these roots. Probably about death. But probably for our death, you'd be buried here. Some sort of great tree root burial. Perhaps it's a ritual of some kind for those who have passed on. But we, at Sites of Grace, when we die, we tend to come back. At least the Tarnished do. The player characters. So it seems a bit odd. Oh, and here we have some of those wandering nobles that we saw in the ashes we could summon. Probably kill this group and then cut the footage there. But still in pieces. Seems interesting that these noblemen are also in terrible shape, kind of like the foot soldier we've seen, with just gray skin, sunken features, the like. Something very wrong has happened here in the lands between, and hopefully we'll get to the end of it. Well, I thank you for joining me on my adventures today, and I hope you have a good one.
Hey!